if someone sort of looking at this interview sort of realizes that maybe they don't have data literacy at the executive level, that their decisions are made without the impact of data, what would you suggest that they be the critical aspects that would help them identify on where to get started?
Well, I would recommend a few things to start with. So, and it's not easy. So educate the executives. Need some level of data literacy to sponsor data initiatives. So this is really key. Another aspect is to think about mixing defensive and offensive approaches. So I see some companies starting only with the defensive ones. I'm thinking about data governance, data management. This is indeed key, but I think it's risky to start only with that and to think about more offensive approach later on. And I think it's really key for companies to already think about how they will leverage the data from the very beginning of the journey. And maybe a third one would be start with simple models. Nobody cares if you use a very complex black box model or if you use a very simple approach. And this is really key for data scientists to understand, not to be shy, thinking about a very simple linear regression. If that works, then fine, put that in production and then move on to the next use case. So really start simple and don't try to over-complexify things.
I think that you probably hit it on the head there, the simple use case. I also like the fact that from the MIT symposium point of view, we also espouse the fact that you've got to have a defensive and offensive strategy. You have to have both there. So we're really pleased to hear that mentioned around the world. So thank you for that. But I do like the fact that that simple progress and then, simple use case and then move on from that. In reviewing this, one of the, I would assume that one of the critical items, and you kind of touched upon this, would be the executive education in machine learning, artificial intelligence, predictive analytics for the business executive. How, as this could enable the business executive to become better informed on their digital transformation journey for their organization, what would be some of the fundamentals, for a business executive on where they should start to become more familiar with these types of technologies? And by all means, if the Swiss data center has some of that, training, please go ahead and feel free to mention that. But where would you suggest a business executive start?
Yes, indeed, it's a good point, the education part of executives. Obviously, these people have very little time to allocate to learning such a broad field. And so in addition to, reading books and things like that, I really recommend joining, indeed, executive education programs in data science. And I'm teaching in such a program that we do jointly between University of Lausanne and EPFL. And we have different kind of objectives. And I think it's quite the same if you think about other universities around the world. So it's about demystifying AI, right? Showing to these people that there is no magic. There is really some concept behind that they need to learn, right? So it's really there about increasing data literacy. Show use cases, what is feasible, and this is about opening their mind. And also show what is not feasible with AI, right? Set the correct expectation, because if you just read articles and things on the internet, you may think that you can do everything, right, with AI. So just make sure that there is the right expectation from these people. And what I discovered in this executive education program is that these people are also very interested to get their hands dirty at some point. So we have simple exercise, simple hands-on session where they build their first machine learning model with very simple, model, very simple drag and drop tools. But this is really key. And I see a before and after such session where, they don't become data scientists, of course, but they did it once. And I think this is really key to so that they grasp the key concept and what it means, so that they can really speak with the people in the company and push for such initiatives.
Does in your home country, does the Swiss Data Science Center offer such educational, executive educational programs that it can help demystify AI?
So yes, we do. So in addition to this kind of certificate of advanced studies that we do with universities, what we do is much more customized. So basically, we really try to have this session with companies when they need. So they want basically to train their managers, right, from middle to top management. And we do very specific sessions. So the most common one is one day, demystification about AI. And this is working quite well. And again, this is not to transform, non-data scientists into machine learning specialists. It is really to explain the key concepts in a day to these people so that they can really, get a better idea and understand the key concepts behind this field.
I think that's a real big plus. So for any of our CDOs and executives that are watching this, definitely look to your local community, first of all, to see if there's any kind of executive education program offered, and see if there'll actually be someone that will come in and do a in-house certification course. And I really love the kind of process of starting simple with starting use cases. Are there any kind of videos on your website, on the Swiss Data Center website, that you might be able to point to, or is there any kind of books that you might highlight for the executive, Sandro, to kind of executives to give them the kind of, my recommendation would be start here kind of thing? Any thoughts on that?
I don't think there is a specific pointer from our website, but I mean, people can find me on LinkedIn or contact me directly if they want, and I can definitely, I will be happy to direct them to the right places for such trainings.
That'd be great. We'll make sure that we have your LinkedIn information on the video as well. Now, I noticed that when I was doing some research that you worked at Nespresso. And while you were there, you set up a program for automated statistical forecasting, and you wrote an article about it. And so as I was reading the article, and quite fascinating, the amount of depth that was put into it. But one of the key items that I took away from the article is you learned a lot by asking key questions related to business forecasting. Is this a critical step in the process? And if so, could you explain why?
So yes, I think it's a critical step in the process. I think it's the key to the success of data science projects. So it's really about making the link between the business problem and the data science one. And asking the right business questions is a key differentiator for a project to be a success. This is also the part which you can't automate today with a tool, right? And if you think about the case of forecasting, you don't have any tool that will tell you if you need to predict sell-in or sell-out, if you need to forecast in a weekly or monthly basis, what is your forecast horizon? So all these kind of business questions are really critical, and no tool is able to do it. Today, asking the right question is, I think, where the data scientists have the biggest impact in an overall project. And I think data scientists should really understand that and maybe spend a little less time on machine learning and a bit more time on business-related questions. And even when this is done, right, and this is the beginning of the project, you ask a lot of questions, there are then still very important things you need to do is about communication. Communicate, and communicate. And again, here, I think data scientists have a key role to play. And especially in such large initiatives as the one you mentioned at Nespresso, affecting dozens of people around the world, it is key to communicate clearly and really frequently.